I would like to welcome everyone to our panel this afternoon. This is the first of two panels in our series. So you're thinking of being a college major, and we are welcoming faculty from a number of universities today. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'm going to sort of round robin, but I will pick the first person to introduce themselves and then ask them to pick someone else to introduce themselves. I am Director of Education at Miners Alley Performing Arts Center in Golden, Colorado, and we have put this panel together as well as a student panel that will be happening tomorrow to help some of the high school students in the Jeffco School District who are considering a theater major as part of their future college trajectory. And so we've had a number of teachers and students inquire about how they can learn more about the pipeline to professional careers from our K-12 programs. And so we're really excited that all of you were willing to join us today and tell us a little bit about how they might take part in one of your programs. I'm going to start with asking Tamara to introduce herself and tell us who you are, where you're from, and what program you're affiliated with.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Tamara Manighini. I am at, you know what? I better not start because I have some stuff going on in my background right now.
All right, I'll go ahead and throw it over to Anne.
I'm Antonia. I'm from the University of Northern Colorado. And I forget what all I was supposed to say.
Oh, that's just fine. Tell us a little bit about the programs at your school, if you're affiliated, if your department offers multiple tracks within your major, what are you affiliated with? What are your specialties?
Absolutely. So at UNC, we offer 5 tracks of specialization. We offer acting, musical theater, design and technology, theater studies, and theater education. My specific specialty is in design and technology. I'm a costume designer by trade and training. We have BFAs in 3 programs and BAs in 2 others.
Excellent, thank you. And Ryan, you're at the same school as well. Can you speak to where you are in the program?
Sure, I'm the head of one of those areas. I'm the head of the musical theater program at UNC.
Excellent. So we'll be able to hear both about design and tech and about performance opportunities there. That's wonderful. Stephen, would you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, I'm Stephen McDonald. I am the technical director and a design professor at the University of Denver. We have a BA program. We don't really have tracks. What we do is we have everybody does everything, and then folks specialize in what makes them happy, and sometimes more than one thing. So we have a emphasis in performance and design technology management.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and ask Mandy to introduce yourself next.
Hi, I'm Mandy. I'm the lighting designer and the lighting and sound shop manager for MSU Denver. And we have BAs in dance and theater, minors in both theater and dance, and we have a BFA in musical theater with a movement track and a performance track, and we have a BFA in design and technology.
And where do you work across
Uh,
all of the areas, correct?
yeah, yeah. I mostly stay on the tech side and handle lighting and sound needs.
Excellent, thank you. Kelly Jo, would you please introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, my name is Kelly Jo Eldridge, and I'm the chair of Theater Arts and Dance at Red Rocks Community College in Lakewood here in Colorado. And we offer AA degree in theater, which is can be the first 2 years of a 4-year degree. It's a direct transfer degree to Colorado 4-year colleges in Colorado. And we also have an AAS degree, which is a terminal degree in that students that complete that degree can go and apprentice, work as stagehand stitchers, get right into the business of theater after 2 years. We're also actually right now working on an AFA degree that will more smoothly transfer to BFA degrees that should be in place by this time next year. So a lot of fun stuff happening.
Exciting, yeah. Tamara, is this a better time?
I'm so sorry. We have some machinery going on here. All right, so now I think I got it. I'm Tamara Meneghini. I'm at the University of Colorado Boulder. We have programs in, I'm so happy to be here and hear from so many of you that I've heard about forever and finally like make a name and face connection. So we have BAs, BA degrees, BFA, acting, performance, stage management, design. We also have an MA and a BAM degree where students can go directly from a BA into a master's program. And we have a dance degree and an MFA in dance. And you name it, we're very work with the student in what they want to study.
Thank you very much. Since it's a good time, I'm actually going to ask you the next question first while machinery is quiet relatively. Can you say a little bit about when students declare a major? Is that something they do as incoming freshmen? Do they have to wait? How does that process look in terms of joining the department at your school? And then I'm sure different schools do it different ways.
Yeah.
So,
I think it depends, Heather, on the program. It's not the same for all the programs. So for our BFA programs, students usually they tend to declare it their sophomore year because then they don't end up having to be there for longer than 4 years, but they can declare later. It really oftentimes what happens because we are a liberal arts program housed in a college of arts and sciences, students come to us after they've been studying lots of different things. And so my colleagues are really good at working with the student to make sure that they get all of their coursework in within that 4 years of an undergraduate program. And so it depends. The BFA, usually they audition in the sophomore year. Our philosophy is that we want them here for a year to see how they're kind of scoping out the department and the school and see if they want to be with us. And if they do, then they audition to come in their sophomore year. The other programs are all pretty open. We have a lot, because of the way that our BA is structured and our BFAs for that matter, we have a lot of students who double major outside of theater and dance and in other programs.
thank you. Kelly Jo, how's that different with you have students working on associate degrees?
Yeah, great question. And I'm enjoying learning all this information too for our students. Yes, we're a no barrier to entry college, so there aren't any auditions for us. Anybody can come and get involved, and students can declare majors at any point. We have technical and design majors and also performance majors, and a lot of times they switch back and forth, learn both. And we have many students as well who double major in business and theater, or that's all definitely possible. So this is a good place for students who are just getting started and aren't sure that they're even ready to audition for a 4-year program. They can get some skills here and then maybe audition for one of these 4-year colleges.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ryan, can you speak a little bit to the process at UNC?
Sure. So specifically for the musical theater program at UNC, it is a BFA degree, and so students actually declare their major upon applying for the program in their senior year of high school. They audition for the program, and then they're either accepted or not, but they will enter as a BFA major in musical theater at the beginning of their freshman year. If they decide they want to leave for any reason, of course they can do that, and there can be a conversation of that, and possibly audition for one of our other performance degrees, or they can look into our ungated theater studies program as well, where they could go. But for our program, for the musical theater program, because it's designed as a conservatory style degree, they will enter as a BFA student.
Thank you. And Anne, how does that contrast with your program at UNC?
So the design and technology program is also audition only. The kind of difference on that is because design and technology encompasses so many different areas. We actually ask that the students come in with an open mind to which area of design and technology they might be interested in. We want them to explore in the first 2 years, and then actually at the end of that first 2 years, really truly embrace their final emphasis area, and spend the final 2 years working on that. For our acting program, that's a BFA, so that's an audition only as well. They will come in as an acting major. The theater education program is an interview process. The interview is to get into the program, but it is also for scholarship opportunities. And as my colleague Ryan said, our ungated program is theater studies, which is kind of an all-encompassing, especially for those students who aren't quite sure which area of theater they might most be interested in. But it's also where we house directing, playwriting, producing. So for those students who really have that interest in that big picture of theater, it is ungated, so they can just declare that as a major. They can also track into the other majors from that area. If they are interested in scholarship opportunities, we request that they go ahead and go through that process for scholarship consideration, but not for admissions considerations.
Excellent, thank you. Stephen, how does that compare to DU and design and technology there?
Well, for both design and technology and performance, because we're a BA, you kind of walk in the office and yell, "Hey, I want to do theater," and you're in. So, which is good, which is great for us because everyone does everything. So it may be that your first quarter you audition and you don't get a show, so you do a run crew or you get into the shop. Or build stuff, or you work on doing a design. We have a senior capstone project at the end of the year, and those designs and performance opportunities are open to all of our students. So we have a lot of folks who try tons of stuff. Our one audition requirement is that if you would like to audition for a scholarship when you're a first year, you have to come and either show your portfolio or your box of photos or do an audition. But last year, everyone who auditioned for a scholarship got one. So just come in the office and yell, "Hey."
Excellent. And Mandy, what is the process like where you are?
MSU is an access education university. So everybody who applies to MSU gets in. And you can declare your major as a freshman or later if you want to. For our BFA programs, there is like a baby barrier. We do have a barrier and like an audition process, but for the most part right now, if you want to be a BFA, you will be a BFA. The musical theater vocal track does have an audition with the music department, but the dance track does not have that. And on the tech side, we do a portfolio, but it's mostly about creating that relationship and contract of, yes, you're going to be putting in more work, and yes, you're going to be doing more classes, but here's what you're going to get from us with that. You're going to get more one-on-one advising, more special trainings, things like that. So it's more about having a contract than it is having like an audition. You're in school. We're here to teach you everything. You don't need to know anything coming in.
Thank you. So for those of you from schools that have audition or portfolio processes, can you say a little bit about what sets apart a strong contender? What are you looking for in those auditions? What are you looking for in portfolios for those of you who consider those in terms of major applications? And I sort of want to open it to the floor and let you be in conversation with each other on this question.
I'm happy to start if y'all want me to. So at UNC for the musical theater program, I say this half jokingly, but I really do mean it. And a version of this is actually posted on our audition website for the music theater program. I tell all prospective students, I'm not interested in being impressed. What I'm interested in is seeing you connect with material. And I want you to tell me through monologue and song and dance why you want to do this, why you want to wake up doing this every morning, and why you want to go to bed thinking about this every single night. I want to see a human being connecting with this material. I'm not interested in people scream singing Defying Gravity if they can't do it. I'm not, I say that jokingly, but I do mean it. I would much prefer someone singing a 32-bar Irving Berlin song if that's what they connect with. So that's my big thing at UNC for the musical theater program.
Thank you.
And I can certainly say for our acting program, that's what the acting faculty is looking for as well. They're looking for genuine. They're not looking for you to, try to be the next Laurence Olivier, be genuine, bring yourself forward. And what we're looking for in design tech is not a polished portfolio. I don't care if you bring a stack of doodles in your biology notebook. I'm trying to start a dialogue, much like my colleague Mandy there was saying. I'm trying to get to know who you are as an artist, because what I want to know is, are you someone who wants to pursue art, who wants to get up in the morning and think about theater, and go to bed thinking about theater and wonder how to create that world or populate that world or light that world, and thinks about those things. So I'm trying to get into your head as an artist and see how we're going to connect, because I think the important part with design and technology is, are we going to relate as artists? And I think all of our faculty in the theater department want to be able to connect with the next generation of artists.
Mhm.
I think we're just looking for people who want to be here. If you want to be here, like a lot of our students, because we're in Denver, they have so many opportunities outside of this building, to go learn and go work and join the union and hop on work calls. And so, students who really want to learn from us, who want to be with us, they're the ones who were like, yeah, great, do a BFA.
Love that.
I think what part of the process in our department when students are applying for different programs or different tracks is they have to they're asked to write a little bit about why they want to be part of the program, or why they how they see themselves sort of evolving as an artist or as a human, and I take those pretty seriously. I really do read those and take them to heart. And we, as part of all of these processes, we do a little like meet and greet session with the students. So my colleagues and I invite them in and we talk to them and we ask them questions. It's really just a curiosity-driven session with them. And just making sure, I've heard my colleagues on the call here say connection, authenticity, creativity. I think for us, we're always considering the group that we are bringing in together. We're always thinking of the ensemble. And so somebody who's interested in working with a group of people, creating a community. So I think ditto to what my colleagues have said here. And I think looking at considering what the students have articulated is a desire of theirs of why they want to be here, and being able and having the opportunity to ask them questions and connect with them more about that, so that we are sure to create a little community that they'll work together in, and they'll get something out of building that community together.
Thank you. The next question I have is a two-part question. The first part is very simple. It's a number or a ballpark number, and then the second question is a little more complicated. Can you tell me how many students are in a typical class or a typical year in your program? And then talk about it's right now is a great time. It's a week in the middle of the semester. What would a typical week in the life of a student look like at mid-semester, balance classes, rehearsals, other things like that? So size of the program, typical week in the life of a student. I'd love to start with Stephen, I think, for this one.
Well, first of all, we're on quarters, so we're in 10-week quarters. So we start on Monday. So so yeah, so we're just getting started. Our program is depending on the week and the phases of the moon, between 50 and 60 students. On an average incoming class is 15 people. So that's about the size of our program. Again, a good chunk of those folks originally identify as performance, and then over time, we sort of tend to blend in there. So we have 10 weeks in our quarter. We typically do 2 shows during that quarter, which is some seriously fast work for the first show of the quarter. We rehearse. We typically our shop day, our academic day is 10 to 2. Our shop day is 2 to 6, and our rehearsal day is 7 to 10. And we are on the first show, we're 6 days a week. On the second show, we're 5 days a week. We don't do Sundays. It's not religious. It's more, boy, we really need a day off. We don't tech on Sundays. We don't. We do perform. We strike on one Sunday during the time. And yeah, we have 3 quarters. We do September to November. We take off 6 weeks in December. We come back and do January to March, and then March to June. Did that answer the question?
It did. That's very
Okay, there we go.
And just a quick follow-up on the quarter system, then how many classes do students typically take at a time?
Between 3 and 4.
Okay.
So yeah, so but between 12 and 16 a year. So
Thank you. Kelly Jo, I'd love to hear about size of your program and week in the life of a student.
Sure, sure. I'm not exactly sure about individual classes because in our short 2-year program, they're kind of coming and going a lot, but we have about 150 students in our program right now, and collectively for the 2 years. And a typical week in the life, a lot of our design type classes are between 9 a.m. and noonish usually. A lot of the performance classes end up being noonish to later, or our lecture classes like our history classes, and those will go till about 4 or so. And then we have rehearsals 6 to 9 or 6 to 10, 3 or 4 nights a week. A lot of our students are also working other jobs, have other commitments, so we try to keep it to 3 to 4 nights a week. I think did I answer all of the questions there?
Do you have any, just out of curiosity, just because Stephen brought it up and I think it's an interesting question, do you have standard days off, or does it vary widely from production to?
Yeah, our typical build days are all day Fridays and all day Saturday. I forgot to mention that, 9 to 5. And so Sundays are usually days off as well. Again, not for religious purposes, just because we need a break. I totally agree with that. We usually our tech is about a week and a half, and then we'll open on a Thursday for that kind of thing. There was something else, but I forget. So
We'll circle back.
Okay.
Thank you. Mandy, can you say a little bit about size of your program and week in the life?
Yeah, we have, I think, just over like 110 theater majors and around 40 dance majors right now. So we have a decent amount, and our BFA class sizes, the musical theater BFA is over 30 now, I think 35. And I think we have a dozen BFA tech students. We just graduated a bunch. And since our students are, a lot of them are working or come in with various amounts of things, they're not really on 4-year tracks. So it's really hard to say what class they're in sometimes. But they graduate every semester. We graduate a whole bunch. So that's kind of our size of student body. And then typical day, our shops are open from 9 to 4 every day. So we try to give them as many opportunities to get their hours in, have their schedules flexible as possible, because a lot of them do work. So our classes, we don't use our later university slots. So our classes start as early as 9, and then usually all of our classes end by 3 or 3:30, because our rehearsals actually start at 4. and they end at 9. And that's because so many of them rely on public transportation. And so we try to keep our hours reasonable. They don't rehearse on Fridays or weekends and until we get to tech. And then we throw in that Friday and the Saturday, Sunday, but we only do 5-hour tech rehearsals on Saturday and Sunday before we roll right in to opening. So some of our students do work study, some of them work other campus jobs. Most of our students are taking around 12 credit hours a semester. Yeah, that's about what we're doing.
Thank you. Ryan and Anne, can you speak a little bit to size of the program, maybe size of the different focus areas since there are multiple areas, and a little bit about that balance between classes and rehearsals?
Do you want me to start, Anne?
Sure, go ahead.
So for the musical theater program, we usually have a target of around 20 students for every incoming class. I don't have the exact statistics, but I believe between the festivals we go to and the video auditions and everything that comes in, we audition, I think, around 500 students every single year. It's a fairly competitive program. But we try to get around 20 and, then it's up to fate at that point. As far as I can speak, Dr. Toby will be able to speak more to the show process and the schedule. But as far as the music theater curriculum for, say, like an incoming freshman, they're usually incoming freshmen take around 16 credits in their first semester. The highest before you have to go to an overload at UNC is 18 credits, so we start them a little bit lower, and then they usually bump up. But for an incoming freshman in the BFA musical theater program, students are taking a music theory / piano class. They're taking musical theater history. They're enrolled in 2 dance classes, in ballet 1, ballroom dance 1. They're taking their first acting course. They usually have 1 liberal arts requirement in their first semester, and then they start right away in private voice lessons as well. So I always like to tell incoming freshmen it will be busy, but it's certainly doable. So that's usually what I say for a typical week for an incoming freshman.
Very reassuring.
And I think that can be said for any of our theater majors at UNC. It's busy, but it's doable. I think one of the things we pride ourselves on is that although we are conservatory formatted, we are at a liberal arts university. So, I'm frequently telling students, go to a football game, do those liberal arts things. But we do overall in the program have between 100 and 125 incoming majors across the 5 tracks, for a total of somewhere between 300 and 400 theater majors in our halls. And we do 6 to 8 shows in the academic season, in addition to their student productions on top of that. That's the main stage shows. We too have Sundays as our dark day, also not for religious reasons, but we do need a day off. Most of our shows will rehearse 5 days, and it varies. Some of our directors like to have a Saturday off. Some of them like to do a Monday, Thursday, Friday off, and then rehearse on Saturday. So it varies. In terms of our tech process, that'll be a 6 days. Sunday will be dark. Then we'll come back and dress, and then we'll open. We do a Sunday matinee with a strike afterwards. So we're pretty when in that. And I can't say that we have, morning is classes, afternoon is shops. Again, when you're also housed in a liberal arts university, they have to take those liberal arts core classes, and sometimes those are afternoons, sometimes they're mornings. So, our shops are open as early as 8 a.m. They close as late as 6 p.m. because people need to get those hours in. No students are ever working those kinds of hours, but it's that amount of time for students to have that available time to get their hours in. In terms of their days, they're going to take 15 to 17 credit hours. So they're in class for, 2 to 4 to 6 hours a day, depending on what kind of a load they're taking. They may be in rehearsal 3 or 4 hours a night. They may have some shop hours, they may not. So yeah, as Ryan said, it's busy, but it's doable. And it doesn't require that you have, a higher degree in time management to do it. You can also waste time and go to a coffee shop occasionally.
Tamara, does any of that sound familiar?
Yeah, it's great. That's great. I think a lot of what Anne said, I enjoyed that very much. Yes, similarly, and I'll just do the condensed version, probably around 70. We graduate 70 a year in that area with all the different degrees. We have our musical theater program. We have a partnership with the College of Music. So we have a BFA in musical theater, and we partner with the College of Music. And we have a Bachelor of Music in musical theater. So those classes together tend to be between 16 and 18 students. The BFA acting this year, we have a bigger class. We have 18 in that class. And then I can't really speak so much to the design tech classes, but we graduate about 70 students every year. And similarly, we are housed we are a liberal arts college, so students have to take their required classes along with their theater classes. And then our rehearsals are at night, usually 6 to 10. Usually 2 days, 2 nights off a week. I don't know if it's 2 days off. It's really up to the director. We don't have any standard days off, or the director really kind of determines that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Circling back to productions and the production season, again, sort of a number question with a deeper follow-up. I'd love to hear how many productions your school, university offers a year typically, and also what kind of opportunities beyond performance and design. As somebody, I trained as a dramaturg and a director and a playwright, and none of those things have been mentioned yet. So I just love to hear a little bit about what opportunities there are for undergraduates in any of those areas beyond performance and design at your schools as well. Because I know oftentimes there are student productions, student festivals, all kinds of interesting things. So I just love to hear a little bit about your main stage season, and then any opportunities you want to mention beyond that. I'll start with Mandy this time.
Yeah, we produce 2 musicals and 2 plays. MSU is very interesting because we have a shared campus, which means our main stage that I'm currently sitting in is actually a shared space. So we can only be in here certain parts of the year. So we produce our musicals in here, and then in our studio Black Box, we produce our plays. And then the dance program also does 2 major productions a year, one each semester. The one in the fall semester is actually completely student driven, as part of a class called dance production, which is pretty cool. And we partner with Cleo Parker Robinson for that. And then this spring, I believe we are trying to move our dance concert into this space as well. We used to do it off campus. And then as far as student groups, we have a student tech club group that goes to USITT every year. We have a dance production group, and they put on some of the smaller things that are happening around town. We have a found theater. I believe this year they're doing a production of Harry Potter musical. And they produce a lot of times in our acting classroom, if they can't find a space around campus or something. And we also have a stage combat club that meets regularly, and then that helps keep their when the class is not happening, that keeps their skills sharp, because after the spring semester we always have a stage combat intensive for 2 weeks, which anybody is welcome, by the way. That's not just open to Metro students, that's open to lots. So yeah, they're pretty busy. They keep themselves very occupied. There's lots of opportunities to get involved. In our productions, you can do anything. You can assistant direct, you can dramaturg. It's all basically based on relationships with professors and with staff. And it's all very customizable. If a student comes to us and says, hey, I want to be paint charge, we're gonna try and find a way to make that happen. For that student. We get a lot of people from other departments as well, like industrial tech and manufacturing and history. We get a decent amount from like those 3 areas of the college. And so they come in with different desires. And because we're co-curricular, everybody at this university can participate in any of those aspects of production.
Oh, thank you. And could you speak a little bit to the production season or seasons? I'm actually curious to know if musical theater has an entirely separate season from like I just love to hear about the shape of that as well.
So, our overall season has, one dance concert, 2 musicals, and then plays comprise the rest of the season. Additionally, and that's our main stage. Additionally, then we have, our studio season, which is, student directed. We have our Next Wave series, which are student directed, projects. We have student directed one acts. So all of those provide performance opportunities, directing opportunities, um, and some minimal design and technology support in those, because those are less supported than our main stage season. But you also asked about things like dramaturgy and playwriting. Sometimes in that studio season or the Next Wave, we've seen some of our young playwrights' works produced for the first time. We haven't really done anything with staged readings for our young playwrights outside of playwriting class. All of our main stage shows will have an assistant director on them, which is always a student. So that's an opportunity. And that includes the musicals for those who are looking into musical theater as a future career. Our musicals will also have a dance captain attached to the show. So for those aspiring choreographers, that might be a place to flex those wings in that piece of it. We have dramaturgs attached to most of our works if students step forward and want to do that. And then, of course, all of that student produced work gives them that opportunity for producing and self-producing, and they get involved in how do we acquire rights? How do we do posters and publicity? How do we get butts in the seats? They're not relying on ticket revenue, but it still is important to be aware of those things. And with as busy as our season is, how do we get, even though the student performance space is small and 25 seats, how do you fill those 25 seats? Because there was one last night and there's one tomorrow night, and how do we get people in for tonight's? So that's a big piece of it. And I think even as busy as we are, there's room for everyone who wants to be involved. And additionally, then we have things like our student improv group and our sketch comedy troupe, and a bunch of a number of student producing organizations who also do their one-off shows that are involve them from the ground level, from producing, from picking a piece all the way through to producing it as part of a season. So all levels, depending on what your area of interest is.
Thank you. Ryan, do you want to add anything to what she had to say there?
The only thing I'll add, one of the things that I think is really important that the UNC faculty is really proud about. Last year, we actually all sat down, the whole faculty sat down and decided on what we call a 4-year plan for our productions, or a 4-year cycle, I should say, meaning within a student's 4 years, these are the different genres of plays that we're going to present, meaning Shakespeare, Greek, this, however you want to do it, so that every student, in theory, in their 4 years, even if they're not cast in one of these, will be exposed to different eras of and genres of theater. When that comes to musical theater, ours is a little bit more broad. Every single year, as Anne said, we do 2 musicals every year, one in the fall and one in the spring. Out of those 2 musicals, one will be more legit in nature and one will be more contemporary in nature. So the legit one doesn't necessarily mean we're just going to do Oklahoma or Carousel. What it means is it might be The Light in the Piazza, something that has more legit singing, a more legit style, and then the next one will be more contemporary in style. So that's the idea when it comes to choosing our shows.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Really cool.
Tamara, could you speak a little bit to the seasons at CU?
Sure. Well, we have a season planning process now where the students are actually involved. We had a committee that chose the plays in a very structured way for years and years. And then the students came forward and said, we'd like to be part of this process. And so with the help of colleagues and students involved, we have students submit titles. This is in theater and dance. And so those titles are discussed, and there's an open town hall where the directors present their ideas to the community. And then there's a big vote. And this is brand new. And it's pretty exciting. We make sure that we have at least one musical and one piece that is from a different time period. And the rest is all sort of determined by these community conversations. In terms of the musicals, because we have this unique relationship with the College of Music, and the College of Music does have advanced degrees in voice and music, we do have a very robust opera program. And so the College of Music does an opera each semester, which the students can audition for. The opera also might be a more legit, as Ryan said, a more legit musical. Our students are welcome to audition for those and often get cast in those musicals. So between music and theater and dance, we are committed. Theater and dance is committed to doing at least one musical per year. College of Music does 2 for the BMMTs, and then at least one opera. Additionally, we have a student-run series that's called the Sandbox series. The students produce, oftentimes they write, they direct, they do everything for that series, and they are usually, in terms of their day, they're going to rehearsals for main stage shows, and then they're going and doing their Sandbox shows. So the Sandbox program is very robust in terms of the students do everything, from design to writing to directing to acting in it, and they can produce up to between 6 and 8 shows a semester, because they keep that studio where they present that, they keep it busy. Additionally, we have a Fringe Festival. As I'm sure, we have a Fringe Festival at the end of the year. We have a new play workshop. We have a really robust playwriting program. And so students in the playwriting program present this new play workshop, and whatever is the plays that kind of rise to like the most positive reviews or whatever get considered for the season planning. And then finally, because we're affiliated with the Colorado Shakespeare Festival, there are all kinds of opportunities with the Colorado Shakespeare Festival for our students, not just in the summer when we have the functioning, professional regional theater happening in our space, but we also have the school tour that a lot of our students are involved in. And there's all kinds of programming that happens with CSF education and outreach that our students are involved in as well.
Thank you very much. Full disclosure, I helped co-found the Fringe Festival back when I was a graduate student.
Yay! It's still going strong.
And it's been 20 years and it's still
Yeah.
happening. And I co-founded it actually with Andrew Metzroth, who's the new executive director at CU Presents.
That's right. That's
So
right.
it's been really fun to see that take on a life of its own over
Well,
here.
thank you.
Sure. Stephen, would love to hear about the DU production season.
I'm going to do a little history for a moment. So when I first got to DU, we did 4 shows a year in our main season. And then we have a requirement that every senior directs a show. And so we had them sort of all over the place. And they, like Tammy was saying, they would rehearse regular shows and then they would sort of jam themselves in the corner. And a while back, we decided that we weren't going to do that anymore. So what we did was we took all of our main shows and put them in the fall and the winter. And in the spring, all of our resources go to student-driven production. So completely supported. The shops, costume shop, scene shop, all support goes to the seniors who are graduating. And so our goal in life is to shepherd and help out the 8 to 10 seniors and their projects and their designers. All the shows are student designed. And some of those folks are design technology folks, and some of them are really excited art majors. And our goal is to help them all meet a successful end. End doesn't sound like the right word. You know where I'm going. To perform, darn it. Four shows in our Byron Theater, which is a flexible space between 100 and 300 seats. And then capstones are in 2 cycles. This year we have 5 in the first cycle, 4 in the second cycle, and they rehearse for, again, in a very compressed, typically a 15 to 20-minute show for each senior. They rehearse for 3.5 weeks and then tech it and then put it up. So we also have a student-driven stage reading series. This year we have 4 of those. And then we have a student group called DU Backstage, or DUB, who does a new and emerging works program, which is pretty much student-written projects. And then every little while, weird stuff pops out of the woodwork and we do other stuff. You never, so yeah,
Other projects is assigned. I love it.
other projects as a sign.
And Kelly Jo, last but certainly not least, can you describe what your season looks like?
Sure, sure. We do 2 productions a semester, and usually it's one musical and one play, but it doesn't always work out that way. We also have performances, like kind of class performances, at the end of every semester for the acting classes, the musical theater classes, so they get a chance to perform scenes and songs that they've been working on. A couple years ago, we also started in the summer. Students in the spring send us proposals for creating their own production company, so that they're the directors, the designers, they pick the play and licensing and all of that stuff, like several of you talked about, and how to get butts in seats and all that fun stuff. And so then we'll pick 1 or 2 of those each summer, and then we all hang back and mentor and answer questions, but it's their responsibility to get the show up and running. And that was an experiment with the student a couple years ago, and it went so well that now we'll continue that on. We have a writing for stage and screen certificate here that some people get in addition to our degrees. And so we definitely do short plays. We had a play festival 2 years ago in the summer as well. So that's a great opportunity for our student writers to get involved. We actually just did a thing with the Center for Colorado Women's History, where our student writers wrote stuff, historical things for our actors to perform, and that was another great experience for them. And our designers and stage managers and assistant directors, all that's opportunities. Some students who are really excelling in costuming, we may put them on as an assistant designer, and then some of the really great ones can design a show for us. There's a lot of flexibility there. We have a student who will be directing one of our main stage shows this spring, who has been assistant directing a lot. So we like to give a lot of hands-on. Just give them like a giant sandbox to work in. So lots of opportunities here.
Excellent. Thank you. I am curious, Tamara actually brought it to mind with the Colorado Shakespeare Festival. Students are often looking for some sort of paid work, practical work, either during the school year, in the summer as internships. Can you speak a little bit to, does your department offer any paid student positions during the year? And then do you have connections or partnerships with other professional organizations, nonprofit organizations, where students might find paid employment to help supplement their other theatrical studies? I'm going to give it to Ryan first and then I'll come to Stephen second. There we go. First 2 on the books.
Anne might be able to speak a little bit better on this as far as paid opportunities, but University of Northern Colorado also runs the Little Theater of the Rockies, which is a summer stock company. So many of our students will audition for summer opportunities, which are paid opportunities. For the past few years since the pandemic, we've done 3 productions a year, 2 of which are musicals. One's a play. That doesn't always remain that way. But that's one thing. We don't necessarily partner with anyone else other than LTR that we shepherd in a sense and oversee. But many of our students up in Northern Colorado, there's a number of theaters up here. For instance, Candlelight Dinner Playhouse in Johnstown. Many of our students will work there either over the summer. Every now and again, they might do it during the school year, but because, it's a BFA program, is a conservatory style degree, it tends to be very difficult to be able to find performance work during the semester. And if they do, they actually have to get permission from me just to make sure, 1, for their mental health, and 2, for their academic health as well, to make sure that they're able to manage everything. So yeah, that's basically it for UNC. LTR is the big thing, Little Theater of the Rockies for us. Yeah.
Stephen.
Partner-wise, we just finished our summer build season. So we have a program called the Theater Tech Intern Program. and we partner with professional companies around town. This summer's partners were Parker Arts, where we did Legally Blonde the musical, Boulder Ensemble Theater Company, local, Curious Theater Company. We've done 2 shows for Betsy and 2 shows for Curious this summer. In all, we had 10 students working full-time, paid full-time, and we did 7 shows this summer. So we'll be loading out 7 various shows. Curious POTUS at Curious is opening right now. We'll be loading all the way through October, finishing up those shows. Basically, we do the load-ins and the strikes. Then we slow down so that we can really prepare for our own shows. And then when Christmas time comes, we'll be back again. This year, our students had the opportunity, if you were either academic or intern, we built 21 shows this year. So we got a lot going on. The fun one for me, of course, too, is that this summer we had a group of 10, and 6 of them were performers, primary performers. They're folks who came from our acting program who really enjoyed building stuff. And so everyone worked. And it was great too, because we had a couple folks who were in performance in shows, and they would come and work in the morning and then go to rehearsal in the afternoon and then perform at night. So it was great. Yeah.
Thank you. Kelly Jo.
Yeah, we have a lot of work study positions and a couple of student hourly positions as well for students who are while they're here. And that's a great opportunity for those performance students too, to get to work some tech and get some skills in that area. And we take pretty big crews for that to help us build throughout. And then for our AAS degree, it has an internship that's part of that degree. And so those are paid or unpaid, and have resulted oftentimes in students being hired then out at various places like Curious and Arvada Center, and a lot of places around town here in Denver. So we always hope to keep those pipelines going.
Thank you. Mandy.
Yeah, we also have work study positions in all of our shops and in our office, and we can also take on TAs. That's mostly depending on financial aid though. We can take as many as students get financial aid. We can basically support any number of them. We have direct partnerships with Cleo Parker Robinson, and some of them do internships there. MSU also has a program that allows, if a student finds an unpaid internship, it's called like Earn and Learn. And so if a student finds an unpaid internship that they're very interested in, they can apply to Earn and Learn, and the university will actually pay them, and it doesn't come from department funds, which is pretty cool. So we have an artistic admin one with local that we work on. Then beyond that, we have a lot of, informal good relationships with a lot of companies in town. I think the biggest thing right now is that a lot of us, staff and faculty wise, are still working professionally, either around town or around the country. And so right now, I would say the majority of our students that went and did internship this summer, they almost all went to a place that one of us has worked. So they're really leveraging their professional connections with regards to that. I don't think anybody went somewhere that one of us hasn't been before. So that's mostly where our connections and opportunities are coming from.
Thank you. Tamara, besides CSF, is there anything else you want to mention as far as opportunities at CU?
I think I'll just echo what my colleagues have said in terms of work study hours, the shops, the office, that there are a lot of opportunities. And then I think I would echo what Mandy just said of most of the faculty is also working professionally, and often students are working with the faculty on projects or with companies, and all of our students are required to to enroll in one internship credit. So usually those internship opportunities grow into something else for our students. So there's and they take a class where they're sort of determining and shaping what they would like their internship to be. So.
Excellent. Thank you. We are nearing the end of our time together, and I do have one more question I'm going to ask you all. But before that, I just want to give our student representative on the call, Aubrey Crisp, a chance. If she has a question that she'd like to put to the group, you're welcome to turn on your audio and video and ask it, or you can put it in the chat, whatever works best for you.
Is my audio working? Is my first question. Great. Okay. Sorry, it's really loud. I'm in my school library right now, and they're playing D&D. So, yeah. I first of all, I really appreciate all this information. It's actually really helpful for me because my school hasn't told me any of this stuff. I've kind of been on my own, so I appreciate all this information, and it's a good starting point now for sure for where I'm at. I am someone who's very interested in like a broad, like I want to get a BA of theater because I want to work on several different skills, so I can do several different things. And I heard a lot about like performance, mainly like stage acting. I was wondering if there was any like film opportunity things or film classes offered at these schools, because that's something I'm interested in as well.
Thank you for that question. Just a quick show of hands, how many of your schools have a separate film program? How many of your schools have basically acting opportunities in film for your theater students? Do any of you have an integrated, I feel like is it the University of Denver that has the integrated theater and film program? I don't think we have a representative from UC Denver on this call. Stephen, you look like you know something about that.
CU Denver does not have a theater program anymore. They have a film program. I was just trying to look and see, there's some classes where if one university on Auraria doesn't offer a program, you can take classes in the other university, and I'm trying to look that up real quick, but they have a film program.
Yeah, UC Boulder, we offer combined classes with film and theater. So they team teach those classes, and they also have a summer internship or a summer travel study abroad where they actually go abroad and they film and theater, and they make films in different locations each year. So they do have a combined sort of effort. It's not a combined degree, but it is a class where they team teach it together. So the film students and the theater students, and they're not all actors. The directing students are encouraged. The stage management students are encouraged. It's a very popular class.
Yeah, we don't have a connection like that, but since most D requires everyone to have at least a major and a minor, and almost everyone's a double major, a good chunk of our folks are film and theater majors. That and business. I don't know why. It's for their parents. Yeah.
We do have an acting professor that is a TV film actress. That is her main job. And so we brought her in to help kind of bridge that gap. Even though we don't have a film program, she is teaching things like acting for the camera, and is still working in TV film actively. And so brings a lot of that kind of experience into the department.
Thank you, everyone. Aubrey, do you have any other questions for us at this time before we get to the last question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, with like double majoring, I'm thinking about majoring in business or something with finance as well, to help support myself. And I was wondering how easy that would be at these different schools, or what that would look like.
That's a great question. How your programs help support majors inside and outside of the department, if they do so, because that approach is not for everyone, and for others it's wonderful. Stephen.
I'll jump in. You got to have two majors. It's required because it's just the way it is. So we have some folks who are really, 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 really theater, and then some minoring in something else. We have most folks have a major, and a minor. I have a student right now who is majoring in performance and design tech. She's a sound designer. She has a major in Japanese and minors in chemistry and mathematics. And she is not abnormal. Well, she is abnormal, but she's not, she's typical. Yes.
Kelly Jo.
Yes, we do too. And that's so great that you mentioned business. One of our students right now is a business and theater double major. And I just think that's brilliant because you're going to be in business for yourself if you go into theater. So might as well understand the business side. We have a lot of psychology in theater majors, which kind of makes sense to me too. And several people who do the tech and design and the performance side because they like both too.
I would just say within our BFA or our BA program, Aubrey, most of our students double major as well. And it's pretty broad what they do. It's a little bit more difficult in the BFA. It's not as common, but in the BA, it's very possible and most students do it.
And I'd have to say at UNC, it's very similar to what Tamara said. The BFA, it becomes more difficult because those programs are a little more intense, especially in the musical theater program, because that's already a triple major. But it's doable if you're really determined. And I think it's also more doable depending on how many credits you come in with. If you've got a lot of your liberal arts core already completed, then you may need another major or even a minor in order to take full-time enrollment every semester. But I would certainly say if it's something that you're determined to do, there's a way to do it.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I was before Ann spoke, I was going to say I might be the outlier a little bit, but the BFA program at the music theater program at UNC is, because the curriculum is so heavy. Basically, what I say to prospective students or current students is it is doable to do a double major. I actually, and maybe UNC doesn't want me to say this, I don't recommend it simply because you're just going to be so busy, and students who have done that end up dropping one of their majors because then the response is they feel like they haven't been a part of either program because they're just so busy. Now, minors are very possible, and I'd say at least 75% of our students are minoring in something else, whether that's dance all the way to business. And one of my students is minoring in American Sign Language. So there's many different things. But the other thing to remember at UNC, we also offer a certificate in arts entrepreneurship. So there are opportunities as well. Majors could be difficult in a 4-year program. If you want to come for an additional 5th year to do a double major, UNC will happily take your money, and it will be certainly a lot easier, I would say.
I would say a lot of our BFAs do not double major just because it is an extended degree. So it is more credits. Basically, before MSU did away with the minor, you wouldn't have to do a minor because it takes up those credit loads. A lot of our BAs do double major. We have some industrial tech majors, manufacturing sciences, history majors, like kind of everything. A special project I also did was going through the entire university's catalog and finding any class that was related to theater. And I made a big list. And so a lot of our students actually fulfill electives and other things by taking related courses in like the business department or the journalism department. And we allow those substitutions in the degree. So like I have a sound student that is taking an electronics course in the electronics department right now, and also took a sound course in the journalism department and is taking a psychology course. So they can round out their degree without double majoring by taking some courses in other departments that are of interest to them that are related to the degree.
Thank you very much. I want to ask our final question of our faculty who are on the call. If you had 10 words or less to give one piece of advice to students who are choosing between multiple schools and competing programs, what's the one brief piece of wisdom you would share to help us close out the conversation today?
Okay, I'm going to say 3 words. Follow your gut.
I'll piggyback off of that. What I tend to say to students is don't choose a university based on its clout. Choose it based on what they're teaching and your connection to it and your connection, if you have any, to that faculty. That's what I say.
I
I'm-
usually, I usually tell people find the group you want to study with.
I'm going to piggyback on Ryan, which is that schools that have big MFA programs that sound really great are really not great, are not always great for undergraduates. So find a place that meets your undergraduate goals. The other one I would say is find out how many people are going to be in your freshman chemistry class, because that's a big question, which is that if there's 400 people in your freshman chemistry class, it makes your beautiful little theater program a little bit harder to work with. So ask about the rest of the university and how many people are going to be in your classes.
I would say, piggybacking on all of this too, visit the school if you can. You know, talk to some people and talk to some faculty, and then you'll get that gut feeling of if that's a place that you'll really like to be.
My biggest advice is get involved early. If you want the better opportunities and the higher positions, getting involved early so we know who you are is the better way to do things.
I want to thank you all so much for your time and your wisdom and your information and sharing with all of us this afternoon. I'm just giving you my own round of applause. And we'll be sharing this with high schools throughout the district. So thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it, everyone. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend.